I am Leonie Snatager Penney, and I lived and worked in Amsterdam in the late 1930s as a postgraduate student. Etty and I were friends. Since I am going to talk about those days, I am taking you back in time about 4 years. 4 fateful years since the occupation of Holland by Hitler's armed forces took place during that time span. So I'm going to talk about the happier pre-war time. I want to tell you first about Amsterdam in those pre-war days, and especially about the culture with which Etty and her friends were surrounded. That culture is very different from 1995 America, and not too easy to understand from here. Not only are we dealing with differences in place and time, but regarding Etty's circle, so little has been translated into English from her work, from the annotations to it, and from the reactions of others to it, that it is nearly impossible for contemporary Americans to get a full grasp of her life and times. It is then also my sincere wish that the energies brought together here tonight will lead one way or another to increased translations and publications of writings related to Etty and her time. How to describe Holland and Amsterdam in the late 30s? Holland is not a very large country. Its size equals roughly the combined areas of Maryland and Delaware. But what a variety of subcultures. One does not have to travel very far to find people with very different opinions and a very different outlook on life. This is reflected in the fact that in the late 30s, at least 12 political parties flourished in Holland. Culturally, Holland was roughly divided between the mainly Catholic South and the mainly Protestant North. Another rough difference was between the more rural and metropolitan mentalities. In general, Amsterdam, like big cities everywhere, fostered a more sophisticated outlook on life. Now, let's see how this is going to work. I'm supposed to... Oh. Oh, hij doet het. Goed zo. Okay, Amsterdam's culture was by no means homogeneous. Many neighborhoods had their distinct characteristics. But whatever these differences may have been, Amsterdam in the late 1930s surely was a romantic city. What with its grachten, its canals, its trees, its old houses, one felt so good, so fulfilled, just walking all by one lonely self along the canals. Etty's circle consisted of intellectuals, mainly postgraduate students and budding artists. There were overlaps with other groups. Etty's group was not politically oriented, though everybody naturally was anti-fascist, Solutions to current problems were not thought in the political field. The orientation was more literary philosophical, the world of ideas. We came mostly from solid middle-class families, and we rebelled against the existing petty bourgeois values. We searched intensely for new and better values and had a great time doing so. Being young, we never doubted our own capabilities. Naturally, we could understand every problem, and the thought not even occurred to us that there might be a problem that we would not be able to solve. I often describe the group as a 50-50 group, half of Jewish background, half of Gentile background. Mind you, I talk about background. I cannot remember anybody going to a church or to a synagogue. It was not a religious crowd. Their being Jewish or Gentile was more a matter of customs, of ethnic background. For Americans, this is often difficult to grasp. The different functions of churches here and over there. In America, churches fulfill an important social role, most likely due to the much greater mobility of the population. When you move here to a new city, going to your church will make you feel at home, and your social life will be taken care of. In Holland, during the 40s, about 20% of the population did not belong to any church, a percentage that, I understand, has been steadily growing. Everybody in the group was smart. Nowadays, you would say a high IQ bunch. To some extent, that was due to the fact that you had to pass rigorous exams to be admitted to a university. On the materialistic level, the needs were minimal. Very little money was needed. As most came from a rather comfortable middle-class background, they arrived well-equipped, and some even received some support from parents. Others had no difficulty finding part-time jobs to take care of their modest needs, such as rent and food. Some lived in group houses. We dressed in order not to be cold or wet, and we ate in order not to be hungry. In the United States, during the Clinton campaign, the cry was for jobs, jobs, jobs. In contrast, we did not think about jobs. We did not think about careers. We thought about the world. We kept discovering the world. We thought about how people lived and why. We thought about what we did not like and what our values should be and how we wanted to change the world.